Heartache. All right. I'm live. No viewers. So let me see if I can play a little bit of his.
Battery 40%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
Hey, the one. Well, I guess I won't, since there's already a few people in. No, I know I'm only speaking to a few, but finger motion, I can't print this for some reason, so I can just read it to you. Finger motion put out its Q1 2025. So I think that means that's February, March, April. Yeah, I think that's February, March, April for, well, let's see what it says. So it says Finger Motion reports Q1 2025 financial results, June 28, 2024. Finger Motion, a mobile services and data company, is pleased to report its financial results for the first quarter of fiscal year 2025. So that's what we're in right now. For the period ending May 31, 2024. All right, so I'm wrong. So it must be March, April, May. March, April, May. All right, so it's March, April, May. Weird. It's not weird, it's just different. Okay, so the Q1 2025 summary is the Finger Motion reported quarterly revenue of 8.37 million, a decrease of 31%. Reported quarterly decrease in telecommunications product and services business revenue of almost 12 million, or 98%. And it reported quarterly big data revenue of 0.15, of nil this year, 0.15 last year. And big data doesn't have any kind of pattern to it, so it probably doesn't mean anything. It's just you get a job and you do it, an odd lot. All right, reported quarterly increase in text messaging business of 8.16 million compared to 0.01 million in Q1 2024, an increase of 100,000%. Reported quarterly cost of revenue of 7.69 million, which was a decrease of 3.81 million, a decrease of 33%. All the boo birds. There you go. Cost of revenue down. Reported a gross profit of 680,000, gross profit of 680,000, which was an increase of 20,000, it looks like, but it was an increase of 3%. This confuses me. Reported quarterly loss of 1.66 million. So how do you have a gross profit and a loss? Maybe they use EBITDA completely. Just an accounting game. Anyway, reported a quarterly loss of 1.66 million, which was up 31%. Basic and diluted, that must be a typo. Anyway, we'll ask him about that. They had a loss per share of 3 cents versus a loss per share of 2 cents for quarter to quarter, Q1 last year compared to Q1 this year. On May 31, Finger Motion had $1 million in cash. All right, let me just finish this, and then I'm going to see if I can invite him early. Well, let's see if I can do it right now. I can invite him. Let's see if I can invite him. Sorry, I don't know if you can see me. I look like Joe Biden with my mouth hanging open, I'm sure. I hope it makes me look more with it than he did. But no one told me not to leave my mouth open. All right, let's see. It just takes a while. Sorry. Okay, so let me send it to his email. Might not have his email. Okay, let's come back here. I hit a bad button. I hope I didn't overtax my computer. I guess it doesn't matter if I have an open mouth or a closed mouth. I'm still an idiot with these computers. All right, here it is. I got his email. Okay. That's right. It is right. I guess I did have it all along. It's weird. It didn't. Let me come back here. Invite. Let's do it this way too. Takes so long. I'm sorry. When I can afford a new computer, I'll get one. Okay. While that's doing that, I'll read that the number of shares outstanding as of May 31, 2024. Let me just come back here. It just takes forever. So the number of shares outstanding were 52,712,000. Assets were 26 million. Current liabilities 15 million, which were very close to total liabilities. And I guess most of their current liabilities are their minutes. Let me just check again. Shoot. Okay. There we go. Just send that to him. He should be able to figure that out because he's computer literate, unlike me. Okay. Let's just quickly finish this. He may pop up any minute unless I screwed it up. Okay, Finger Motion's decrease in revenue of 3.8 million or 31% compared to the quarter last year resulted from an increase in revenue from its SMS and MMS business of 8 million, offset by decreases in revenue 11.8 million and next to nothing from its telecommunications products and services and big data. That looks like an earnings shift because they are doing the minutes, so they must have missed a deadline or something. There's going to be a lag, so they'll pick it up this quarter. That's my guess. We'll find out. The company's SMS and MS business saw a significant revenue increase because of the strategic reallocation of resources to this segment, allowing Finger Motion to capitalize on higher margins and improve profitability. This strategic shift reflects the company's focus on optimizing its business portfolio by prioritizing higher market segments. Quote, our company again experienced a challenging market during Q1 25, said Martin Shen. Despite these challenges, however, during Q1, our gross profit improved from 0.02 million or 3% of our cost of and our cost of revenue decreased almost 4 million compared to last year. Looking forward, we see several drivers for improving revenue this fiscal year, including arrangements which could significantly increase our use of the Daga app, which already has 650,000 active subscribers. We also continue to invest in the future of our InsurTech partners, and our Sapientus big data platform has made additional progress on several fronts. We also expect our cloud-based services and lifestyle app to contribute meaningful revenue later this year. Therefore, we expect the balance of fiscal 2025 to demonstrate increasing revenue and improve margin to get us closer to our goal of profitability. I can see Crappy Barrow's report now. General and administrative expenses increased by $500,000 in the first quarter as a result of increases in a range of costs integral to the ongoing operational and administrative requirements necessary to support the company's growth and ongoing operational needs. I could just have him call in. Okay, so he might just call in, I guess. I don't know. My so hot in here. I hope I keep my temper. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Why invite him early? Why? Yeah. Why invite him early? I don't know, Steve. He set it up for noon. And then he texted me that he's ready to go now. So it's not that I'm invited. I mean, it's only 15 minutes early. Well, 18 minutes early, but anyway, we'll see what he'll do. Okay, let's go. Hey, the one, you're number one. Toe cramp. Hi. Darren, good morning. Frank, good morning. Hello. Dan, good afternoon. Jean Doe, very clever. I just figured that out. Good morning. Augustin, yeah, it's hot here too, but I bet it's hot down there. You get humidity there too. Hey, Stony Bones, or at least in part of the state. I think Finger is going to look good, but as I've been saying for a while, I think it's going to take. Yeah, I think you have a double over the next 2 or 3 months, but I believe their earnings are going to show up as a trend we can analyze either in our third quarter or their third quarter, but basically this fall, maybe later. It always seems to be a way. Hey, Sway. Hey, Scott. Buenos dias, Hector. Buenas tardes. I don't know why Finger reports differently. And I'll ask him that. He told me in my interview, but it was something. I can't remember the reason. Maybe it's just something they started, or maybe it's something China requires. We'll ask him if I remember. Oh, he might have just called me. Let me see. No. Oh, here he is. Here he is.
Can you hear me?
Let me make sure my volume's up for everybody. It should be. Welcome. I can't
Hi, Bill.
believe
Can you hear me?
it's working.
You got me?
I think we do. Everybody
All
can
right.
hear you, right? Tell me if you can, everybody. How are you? You look good.
You look good as well, Bill. Thanks so much for doing
Your offices are always so well janitored and cleaned behind
this.
you.
Is that right? I could turn off the background, but then you'll see my
No,
true self. So.
I like your background. Wherever you're speaking, it's always there. So you're well?
Yes,
You look
doing well. Thank you. Busy.
Where are
but
you?
otherwise, I'm in Vancouver.
Vancouver. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
It was cool earlier this week, but this weekend's been not too bad. It's been nice.
Yeah.
It's actually our Independence Day. So July 1st is Canada Day. So it's our, I guess, Independence Day. And then I think your guys is Thursday, Friday, right?
Yeah. The 4th.
Yeah.
We both broke off from the same country.
Yeah.
I just read everybody your earnings. It was a little confusing. You had a net profit, but then you had a loss per share. I don't know. Is that EBITDA, or did I just misread it?
You might have misread it.
It said it says reported a gross profit. Oh, gross profit. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a gross profit.
Yeah, we had a gross profit.
Then you take out okay. All right. Well, before we start, I want to point out that you should be gaining respect for Djokovic. He's back in Wimbledon, even though he just had his knee operated on. Grudging respect, I hope.
I'm the Federer fan, remember? I'm the Federer guy.
I know. I'm trying to convert you. Federer fans don't like Djokovic.
I like them all. I like
all three of them.
Me too.
I think Sinner's going to win it this year, but
yeah.
All right. And then I don't know if you want to just start out on anything with the earnings, but I just want to point out to everybody that Martin cannot talk about things which have not yet been announced. So within that framework, we can discuss almost anything. And I just read out the earnings. I don't know if you want me to read them again, or if you just want to hit the highlights and describe what you think. I get a sense there that there might be a lag in reporting some earnings because your top-up business seems to be fine. But anyway, I'll let you describe it.
Sure. I mean, first of all, Bill, again, thanks for doing this on a Sunday morning. I appreciate that. Just in terms of, I guess, our recent Q, we did have a bit of a flip-flop actually in our business. Typically, top up in our telecom products and services, our cloud services drives our revenue. This last quarter, there was a bit of a halt by the government and some of the government facilities in terms of how the top up was working, and they were readjusting something. So I really got to give kudos to our team in China for kind of changing up and then immediately flipping over to our SMS business, which admittedly, and I had thought was actually probably going to be on the decline, but we were able to grab some significant revenue from that, which really drove most of the revenue for the quarter. The SMS business is kind of in line with the RCS business in that they both kind of use text messaging bundles. And the idea is that we use these bundles and sell them off to our corporate partners to, in essence, do some marketing, whatever marketing they wanted to do. And so what happened was in this month, we were able to take advantage of that because our team said, okay, if the government is going to just delay some of the top-up business, then we're going to immediately switch over and grab some of that SMS business. And that was able to drive our revenue for this quarter to about almost 8.5 million. So really kudos to the team for doing that kind of stuff.
The margins on both of those are the same?
Roughly? No, they're not. No, they're not. And again, the margins, like I've always said, really depends on what's available out there, right. what we're able to grab. So you'll see that although our GP is pretty close to last quarter, like year-over-year, quarter versus quarter, the actual GP percentage dropped a little bit because the profit percentages of the margins just weren't there for us. But having said that, we're still able to, peel off a little bit of profit. Just kind of going back to your comment at the top, you're right. There's a lot of rumors out there swirling, none of which I've spread, but news gets out there. There is a lot of really big things that we have lined up. Some of them, though, are require some capital for us, and that's why we're looking for a little bit of capital to kind of inject that and kind of spark that fire. And what we think will happen, as I mentioned in the press release, was that we're able to get that little fire going. It's really just going to take off and show some really good results for the remaining 3 quarters of this fiscal year. So we're very excited about that.
Before we go on, why is your quarterly and annual reporting on such a odd cycle compared to most United States companies? It's February instead of
Our year end is just happens to be February. I think that was when the structure was set up. It was the company was a February year end, and we just kind of stuck with it. It's not necessarily the worst thing. Having every company in the US all file December 31st year ends really kind of bottles up the auditors, for example, and bottles up the legal team and all that. So having a February year end is not killer. It does make people kind of think and just gauge the timing of when our Qs are going to come out and when our reporting is going to be done. But I don't think it's too detrimental to people. I think people are pretty smart out there, so they can figure it out. But
so maybe just to remind people, and I'm sure I'm going to get it wrong, but I think you have 6, 7, maybe 8 businesses. I don't know, but the big ones are your top up, and then you've got SMS and MMS, which I thought you were getting out of, or moving away from. But those 2 right there are very low risk, but also low margin, I think. But the top up is the biggest source of your relationships and your revenue. But then you're going to be shifting to RCS based on the 5G cloud services, which is something I've never emphasized because that's more than just data. That's giving clients computing power as well. That's really interesting. But then big data. And then finally, I'm leaving off your Netflix of Southeast Asia. I forgot the name of it, but I don't know what this Daga lifestyle app is. Is that where the swiping for paying your EV vehicles is? I don't know. But anyway, maybe you can remind people of your various parts of your engine.
Absolutely. Yes, you're right, Bill. It's a great comment because we do have a lot of businesses. And what I think we're slowly kind of developing into is really a lifestyle company, kind of like a consumer lifestyle, human behavior type company. And underlying all of it really is kind of our data business and accumulating data and using that to benefit the user, benefit some sort of societal benefit in general. So that's really the underlying basis of everything that we do. As most of your listeners, if not all your listeners know, it's the top-up business that started it all. That's the payment processing business where we help consumers of China Mobile, China Unicom, China Telecom top up their phone, in essence, pay their phone bill. And that was our core business. And you're right, it's very low risk, a little bit of capital required to keep that business going. But it generates high revenue, but low margins, correct. The second business that we're able to get into because of the success of the top-up business was SMS, which may or may not slowly morph into RCS. That really depends on the mobile phone companies and how they want to switch, how they're going to work that marketing angle of the SMS messaging. But that was our second business. And as you can see from this latest quarter, does still drive our revenue significantly. Whether or not, again, like I said, it moves into the RCS platform, we'll see how that goes. So top up and SMS really were the core two businesses. Along with the top up in the telecom products and services, we also have cloud services. And what that really is, it's very similar to Amazon Cloud in essence. There is kind of a server bays that we allow users to rent. And we get kind of a revenue from that, in essence, memory storage, data storage, but also computing power, the ability to harness some of the power, excess power that we might have in some of our servers and use that for whatever corporate pursuits that they're trying to do from the company side. And that does generate a bit higher margin, but that's very fluctuating. If a big company comes along and they don't need, let's say, any computing power, no one needs it at that particular time, then that revenue does dip a little. So it does depend on demand for the computing power. So that kind of rounds out, let's say, that the telecommunication products and services and the SMS. One of the big drivers, even since day one when I came on, was always that data side. And that's the Sapientis arm that we call it. And I actually met with the team in Shanghai a couple months ago, and we're still pushing our insurance partners for a timeline in terms of finding that monetizable product. They're still very much entrenched working together in these kind of research labs to build that product. But you can imagine with the wealth of data that we have, and then the, let's say, reluctance of the insurance companies to move on something until they're sure of its revenue potential and its profitability side, that's taking a lot of time. And so we talked with the team at Sapient and said, hey, are you guys, what's the time frame for this sort of stuff? And they're saying we could still be somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 9 months before that monetizable product comes out. But they are working very hard with the teams at Munich Re, for example, in building that product. I imagine, these are tech guys, so I imagine there's a lot of data and a lot of things that they got to figure out how it all kind of works. But they're working very hard, and I was very grateful that they continue to work hard even after such a long time. But obviously, the end goal for that would be to get that first product out there. So that would be the data arm, the Sapientis arm, and that kind of underlies everything that we do. There's always going to be a data angle where we can somehow provide some sort of benefit to whoever that user might be. The latest example, of course, is our Daga app. So the idea of this Daga app, it was developed for the consumer. In essence, it's an app on the phone. The first few things that we thought of, obviously, would be the top up, the ability to top up your phone on this app. But then also down the road, potentially getting insurance products, because we're working with so closely with these reinsurance companies to develop product. But that could be something that we build on. One of the things, obviously, that is on the app now is car maintenance, car washes, coupons, really auto-related type things. And then signing this deal with this infrastructure company that has the car charging ports. The idea is you can find where the locations are. You can charge your phone. It's not dependent on any particular car. Let's say it's not necessarily just for Tesla. It's for any charging station, any car out there. And the Chinese EV market is huge. It is absolutely massive. If you go to any big city now, Beijing, China, Shanghai, you'll see car dealerships everywhere, and they're all promoting and marketing these EV cars. So that's something that we're building, and it's growing and burgeoning. And then hopefully, when we have what is, like I said, some of the rumors out there about these new projects that we have coming on board, maybe that's something that we build into the app as well. So those really are the different companies and businesses that we have, varied in terms of the different aspects of life, but common in the fact that they are all kind of a data related and working really with the consumer and consumer lifestyle angle of that.
Your data, which maybe everyone realizes this, but this data is basically all the data of the telecoms that you're linked with.
Yeah.
I guess it's anonymous. I guess it's, I mean, you don't own it, is my point. But
yeah,
you have a license to use it. So maybe you could describe that. Also, maybe if I don't spread this question too far, if you can talk about what the licenses on the data means, but if you can remember to do it back to your top-up business. I sometimes get the question, because I always point out that you're one of just, I don't know, 2 or 3, a handful of people that can do this top-up business. But then I always get the question, oh, there's legacy. You don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, licenses too. Data and
okay,
license. Data.
absolutely. You're right again, Bill. Yeah, so for your viewers and your listeners, when we were given the license to do the top up, there were literally only a handful of companies out there, maybe less than 10, that were given the license to handle the payment processing transactions. And in terms of the size of the companies that we're dealing with, China Mobile and China Unicom and now China Telecom are the 3 companies that we can work with. And that in essence covers the entire country of China. So almost every phone user out there. And that's why when we say in our presentation that we're dealing with about 1.5, 1.6 billion user accounts, a lot of people have 2 phones, 2 lines. And so we do have access to literally a wealth and mountain of data. And those licenses that came from Top Up then led to licenses that allow us to go into the telcos and study the user data. But you're right, the data is the data that the telcos give us access to. Like you said, we don't own it, and it has been scrubbed for all the personal information, so that's not included. Again, what we have is an identifier, maybe an account number or some sort of identification number that we can work with. That way we know what we're working with. And then that kind of data is worked with our data team and the insurance companies to figure out demographic information, age, and particularly geolocation. That's the thing that seems to be of great value. The idea of where are people going, when they're going, how fast they're going. And then you can work out all the different things that they might be doing at certain locations, be it hospitals, be it gyms, be it restaurants, anything like that. So that's really the wealth of information that we're dealing with. Kind of going back to your first question about licenses. Yes, at that point in time, when we started the top up, it literally was less than 10. Do we know how many are out there now? No, this is not like it's public information. It's not like you're telling us, but you can kind of infer and figure out how many licenses are out there and which companies have access to it. Are there legacy companies? Yes. China's massive, right? There's a lot of people out there and there's a lot of legacy companies. But what we do know for sure is that the government would prefer to have a licensed company handle these transactions. So they are whittling away at these older companies and getting rid of the legacy companies that do not have licenses. And so we're obviously in a very good position to keep going, keep growing that part of the business, both the top up side and obviously our data side.
Well, do they obviously you've built a very trusting or ongoing reliable relationship with them. Do they need new participants, do you have a head start on competition?
Great point. Yeah, we do. I mean, we are probably what, 4 or 5 years into this now. So obviously, in building up that top-up business, we've set a very high ground. You know, we're very far ahead of anyone else that might be just getting a license now. You know, one of the country risk questions that I always get, and my answer to, you know, country risk is they could issue 1,000 more licenses, or they could revoke ours. The way we know that we're doing well is that we just kind of keep our head down and just kind of keep doing our job. And the you know, the idea that they give us SMS and then they give us RCS and then they're, you know, working with us on the Daga app and this new project that we're looking at gives us the confidence as a company to know that obviously we're doing the right things. You know, we don't ruffle any feathers, we don't make any political comments. Our team really just puts our head down. And the important thing for these telcos is that their consumers are happy. You know, the customers, you know, their accounts are topped up. Obviously, the telcos get paid. So those are the things that are important to them. And as long as those things kind of keep happening, they're going to keep giving us different businesses or continue to grow our current business. So, you know, the country risk idea and certainly things that the government might do are always things that we have to consider. And, you know, we certainly put it out whenever we file anything that there is that risk potential there. But I think given our track record and how we've been growing and the things that we've now been given access to, give us a very good, you know, confident feeling that we're obviously doing the right things and are given that kind of runway to grow.
Well, one of your interviews, or anyway, one of the things about your top-up technology, if it's a technology, you don't have many failures or drop-offs. So I guess it's a pretty strong process you have.
Yeah. And kudos to the team for keeping that up. So give them a pat on the back.
It was all you.
Yeah, that's clearly not, but that's okay.
So this question, which ties in a little bit to what you just said, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. I'll save that one. When do you think this doesn't have to be a straight up answer? Because I think what's more important is when it becomes clear to the market that this is coming. But when will it be clear that earnings are turning positive and stay positive? Is it sometime this year, or do we still have to wait? Obviously, you don't know for sure, but it's.
Well, I'll be very frank with everybody. I had hopes that we could turn at least a break-even point last fiscal year. So at the end of February, we were really pushing for it. And obviously things happen, you know, and we as a company, I don't think making any excuses, but sometimes the landscape changes. You know, for example, this Q is a great example of landscape changing. Government changes certain things, and we as a team have to quickly pivot and move, let's say, our capital balances over to SMS and take advantage of that and keep the company growing and obviously keeping the revenue there. We are very cautiously optimistic that we could get to that break-even point in this fiscal year. I'm very confident for that. But we do, as I mentioned off the top, do need a little bit of capital to kind of come in and say, okay, we really got to fire this up. The project that I'm not allowed to talk about for legal reasons, as counsel has warned me, but it does have a potential. It is a government project again, and it is of some good size, let's put it that way. And that, in essence, tied in with everything else that we're doing. So it's not like we're moving away from the foundational business that have kept us going, our top up and our SMS and obviously our data stuff. That stuff is still there. But along with this new business, it really gives, I think, our entire team encouragement that, you know, that there is something going, and that will obviously lead us to break even and certainly profitability within this fiscal year. That is certainly a push and a goal for the entire team.
Well, it used to be, I don't know, the way the markets, I mean, that's a little bit of editorialism, but the way the markets are manipulated now, I don't know if it's true, but it used to be that if you could project that, the markets would discount that that's coming. So just because it takes, I don't know, until your third or fourth quarter, doesn't mean the markets might not recognize that good news sooner, that earnings are on their way. That's just editorial, and you don't have to respond because it is. This really big thing that you can't talk about.
Yes.
When? Or you can't talk about that either.
Yeah. I think it'd be, it's safest if I don't, other than what I've alluded to already. I mean, it's kudos again to the team for showing a good enough track record that this is something that's presented to us as a company. We're looking forward to taking advantage of what the potential of this might be. So
cool. So did you talk about you did talk about the electric vehicles, but is that a really positive income source? Or you already talked about how massive it is in China, so maybe we can skip that question. It's just,
well, I mean, I can touch on it really quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It just gives us a more, the more feet that we have in different boats is, again, gives us a good touch point in terms of what's happening in the country. And being such a data-driven company, and looking at lifestyle and looking at consumer behavior, that's just another aspect that helps us build. If we can see that, EV usage is going up at any particular time, then we know which way the population is moving. If all of a sudden there's a dip in the number of cars and consumers going to charge their cars, then all of a sudden that gives us, again, another angle, another data to maybe pivot on something else. So I think all these different things that we're looking at as a Procter and Gamble or like a Unilever, the idea that we have different avenues, different things, I think all feed into the wealth of knowledge that helps build our business. So
it seems like these two insurance companies who are working with you on data, I guess they have the scientists and they're building all that out. Is it their timeline or yours? I mean, they come up with the strategy. They come up with as you put it, you're trying to come up with a monetizable product. Is it their decision or?
Well, I guess it's kind of both. I mean, ultimately, as these large, like Munich Re and Pacific Life Re, they're very, very large, and they are the insurance companies, right? And so for them, they have to be very comfortable with the fact that if they get this and they push it down to their insurance companies, that it's going to work. So from that standpoint, I guess it is their decision. I think the way, like I mentioned with the meeting with our team leads, they've been, working very, very hard to say, okay, well, we got this stuff. And then they say, okay, well, can you move it? How can your data work with this? Can we fix the algorithm slightly to get this kind of data? And so I understand that that takes a while. And obviously, being in the position that I'm in, you have to remain as patient and as calm as you can, while letting the team know that we're looking for a solution as soon as they can get it. So I know that they're under some pressure from us as management, but I also want to give them the understanding that we're behind them. We're giving them all the resources that they need to make sure that they find that success at the end. But in terms of timeline, ultimately the product is going to be decided by the insurance companies because it's their product. That doesn't mean, though, we can't take some of that data and branch off to something different. Like I mentioned, financial services, healthcare. It's just some different angles that we can always look at. And if it does, seem to take it, like it's dragging on a bit too long, we're going to start maybe splintering off and say, hey, how about we slide into something different and see if that might work a little bit quicker. But
of course,
for now,
sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
Once they come up with something, it's going to be powerful and it will be there forever.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. I didn't mean to.
No problem.
Um, okay, you're talking about raising money. Are you going to raise money down here? And if you do, I understand. I mean, that's where the market price is, but hopefully you can do some sort of hybrid, because I believe your stock price is manipulated. Of course, that's editorial. And simultaneously, I don't think this is a real issue because you only have 52 million shares out. But I assume you never intend to have a reverse split.
No, that's not something that we're intending now. As to what point we raise the funds, it really depends what is, I guess, most attractive and most fundamentally beneficial for the company. We're not going to do anything that obviously is detrimental to our shareholders, to our current investors. And so as management, we have to make that decision. I appreciate your editorial comments. Obviously, there's things in the market that I cannot comment on and I won't comment on. But understand how we as management feel. We have two sides to look at: the public side, the market side, and obviously the company side. How do we build a company? And we're always trying to say, you know what, if you build that strong company, if you make that profitable company, we're going to drag the public side with us and say, this is the way it's got to be. We're not naive enough to think that this doesn't work independently on its own, as you mentioned. We're certainly aware that there's functions happening here and all that sort of stuff. But we think that it's most important for these shareholders to understand that we're going to build a strong company. And that's really the goal of the things that we do, either be top up or certainly the data side or this new project that we have. That's going to build a strong financial statement, strong balance sheet, income statement, all that kind of stuff. That's what's, I think, we're gunning for. And then whatever happens over here, certainly has to manage on its own. But we think that following will come over and say, hey, this company is strong. This company does have a good footing financially and can certainly grow. So I think that's the viewpoint when we play against those two things.
And if you raise money for something that brings in revenue and income, I mean,
yeah,
that's not dilutive. I hate the word, it's accretive.
Yeah.
You mentioned on a interview micro lending. I guess that goes along with your financial services. But I went to a lecture here in DC by that gentleman, his name's skipping me, that started the lending in India to women. It was a rage for a while. The auditorium was full, standing room only. But anyway, micro lending sounds like a huge new area, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just really quickly, if I can touch on that.
Yeah.
The data that we get is, in essence, it's almost immediate risk rating data, right? The idea is that for insurance companies, for example, you have a certain amount of information that you already have about a certain consumer or potential customer. We augment that information with the mobile phone data. Now, again, geolocation, where you go, when you go, how fast you go, the kind of things that you're doing. If we're able to add that kind of information to, let's say, someone's banking records, financial records, or someone that doesn't have any financial records, that opens its avenue to microlending. Someone that stands there, I've never had a bank account. I don't, really understand how banking works, but I know that you're someone that goes to work 9 to 5 and you're always work and you don't go out late and you don't go party or whatever. If I know that kind of information, it potentially could provide an avenue for that consumer to access some lending. And I think that's the kind of avenue we're looking at. Obviously, the example I'm giving is very vague and very blue sky, but that's the kind of concept that we have. And having that access to the risk rating of an individual is the avenue that we think could help there. So again, we're always thinking of different things that could help grow the company. But again, there's a consumer help angle. There's some sort of assistance that we can provide that, be it altruistic or not, there is a an avenue there that we think
Well,
can help.
your market you're targeting has a lot of consumers.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, how important is the I don't know what to call it, the T-mall, and that being a gateway to transactions with Alibaba? There's a couple of others, I don't see their name, but you're kind of a gateway to transactions. Is that a meaningful
Oh,
or just
absolutely.
an ancillary business?
Absolutely. I mean, getting portals on these extremely large e-commerce companies, Alibaba, Tmall, PDD, all these really, let's say, significant e-commerce websites, just gives access to those users to our services, right? So of course that's important. I give an example, like I don't know if you have Temu, which is kind of like an Amazon competitor. But now they've infiltrated the North America marketplace. They are a sub of Pinduoduo, I believe. And so what they're able to do is they're offering products to consumers at extremely low prices. But their goal really is just to get users and just to attract as many users as possible. For us, it's sort of similar, except that it doesn't really cost us anything. We don't have to put an upfront cost to it because the users just come via the e-commerce websites, via the Tmalls and the Alibabas of the world. And we do think that's important because once the consumers see that our product and our services are good, and then the telcos see that we can handle that kind of product, it works both ways for us as just kind of building our foundation as a solid company, a robust system, robust platform that they can use. And so I do think it is important. It's not necessarily something that we target, but the benefits that come from that are certainly good for our company.
And the RCS, I'm not a techie, but the RCS, which is more powerful, it allows a user to stay on the platform as they buy something versus just the bulk SMS and MMS messaging.
Yeah,
so it gives an advantage to but it gives an advantage to the telecom and to the website, whoever's the marketer.
Yeah, it gives a great benefit to the company, whoever is marketing, right? I give that Nike example, but Nike wants to close that transaction. They want to sell that shoe. The faster they can sell that shoe, it's happy for them. It's good news for them. And so the RCS platform does allow for that. And that really, to me, feels like an extension of what the SMS and MMS marketing does. But instead of having to jump off, you stay on the platform.
So one thing you didn't bring up, which is tied to 5G, I think, and are they provinces or what else? Prefectures? Anyway, they go state by state. Provinces.
Yeah.
Is what everyone nicknames Apple Care. What they have to build out these kiosks or something first, province by province. But is there progress there on
the Apple Care has run into a bit of a snag, and that has nothing to do with, let's say, China itself. We, as I mentioned way back when we first started this, we brought in a very prominent insurance company that's based in the US. They had wanted to be in the Chinese market for a long time, probably at least 10 years, and couldn't get in. And by us partnering with them and bringing them into the Chinese marketplace with these telcos, it created a great avenue for them. Their back end, though, this US insurance company's back end, had a whole bunch of hurdles that they wanted the consumer and the telco to jump through before any transaction could close. And I think what has happened to the point now is that it's become too burdensome for the consumer, and two, for the telcos. And it's a bit frustrating for us as a company because we put ourselves out there. We were like, okay, we'll help you guys out. Obviously, you coming into the Chinese marketplace has got to be a benefit for you. And that, from the Chinese telco point of view, having a large underwriter like this, gives them some sort of, comfort that, if any claims do come up, it's covered. But like I mentioned, it's way too burdensome. The things that they wanted that needed to be done, boxes here, sign here, check box here, all that kind of stuff, created this huge mountain of work when all we really wanted was something as simple as Apple carries. Like you check a box and it's already there. Perhaps build it into the payment processing side so that's already part of the payment. So where that's going to go, I would say that the future for that right now is quite slim. Obviously, we've never had any line item on our income statement for any of that sort of income or any sort of revenue because it really never took off. And we have, just kind of a thread of a conversation with that insurance company here. But where that's going to go, we'll see. But if they don't change their back end processes, it's going to be very difficult to implement that product.
Who's China's or the insurance company?
The insurance companies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, let's say on the Chinese side, was ready to go. Right. It was just a lot of the whatever, and I wouldn't even call it red tape. It wasn't certainly any like rules or regulations that the company had to follow. I think it was just the back end stuff that they needed to get done to move the product forward. And I think that created a lot of the issues.
Is it mandated by the government to have that warranty?
No.
So I've been wrong about that. I'll have to correct my.
Yeah.
I thought it was. The Benchmark did a research report. Was that a one-off, or will they re-rate if you start doing better? And if you could also bring in other research companies that are sniffing around.
Yeah, I assume that they would, obviously update the research reports when things start changing. We are looking at getting other research report out there, getting more research done by different companies. So that is something that we're looking at. When the timing is right, we want to get that out there because we understand the value of having good research done on the company, whether or not it be Benchmark or somebody else. I'm not too sure.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Let me just see what. So we answered that. Okay, here comes a question. It comes up all the time, but I don't think it has anything to do with you.
Okay.
I think it's the SEC. Are you waiting on the SEC to authorize the dividend? I don't know.
The warrant dividend?
Yeah, the warrant dividend.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I know the SEC is looking at. I probably
can't talk about.
Yeah, I can't talk too much about it. But yeah, there are a certain number of things, and none of them are particularly hurdles. Obviously, having filed the Q, that kind of took priority, but then now we have current figures that need to go into the application itself. So we need to update for that. But yeah, other than that,
and then if there is approval, this is good that you got your financials done probably.
Yeah.
But if there is approval, then you have to notice everybody, I guess, for 10 days or something like that before you.
I believe so. Yeah, I would have to confer with counsel what the actual steps are, but yeah.
How many companies have a CEO to speak? Yeah, there you go, Saber Delta. I don't know the answer. There's one.
There's one, and it's a long weekend for me. So
for you, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, at least it's not hot. I'm tired of being part of the bag holder club. Well, I don't know. I don't feel that way at all about Finger. I'm really excited about it. Maybe you can talk about that, but the sense I have about Finger is for a long time you were I don't want to say struggling, but you were a young company trying to establish itself. And now you're established. So all we're waiting for is the implementation and then the rewards of some of those strategies you have. But once that's in place, I think this is a company, Andy, that I think you can put it in your portfolio and hold it for a long time. Anyway,
Well, to go to that point, I mean, first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that's been a shareholder, that's been an investor. The one thing I would say, from give you a little glimpse behind the curtain,
yeah,
this takes a hell of a lot of work. It is a lot of work to obviously navigate growing a business, but also having, you know, the complexities added being in this particular jurisdiction. We know that we had battles earlier on just because of geopolitical issues that might have happened, where we literally had to stand there and say, this side wants this stuff, this side won't give it. This side needs this, this side won't give it. And so we're standing there, and we have to, as a management team, balance both sides and make sure that everyone, you know, we don't violate any rules, because then everything blows up. So you're right, Bill. We've gotten past, well, hopefully past the point where we're recognized as a, you know, solid company. Now it's just a matter of continuing to take that and grow it into different things and different avenues that we see. The landscape changes a lot. The country risk question is legitimate. It's a legitimate question that people should ask, and they do. And I'm always as forthright as I can be when I say, you're absolutely right. That's something you have to consider. It's something you never consider when you're dealing with a US-based company or a North American-based company or even a European company. It is particular to the situation that we are in. But I'm always telling you, this is what's happening. And I think we've navigated it very well. And now it's just a matter of taking all these different divisions, different ideas, and making sure that they're growing. Our top up is foundational. Our SMS is foundational. Mm-hmm. And obviously our data underlines it all. But when the data goes and our app goes and this new project goes, then hopefully everyone will sit back and say, thank goodness we stuck with this company for as long as we have, because it will, you know, knock on wood, reap the benefits that we think we can provide. And again, that's cautiously optimistic. That's not forward looking. That's not anything like that. I'm just giving you what I think the potential for Finger Motion is.
Oh, this guy. Yeah. All right. You can leave the last part of that question off. What is the agreement with Univest about? Well, that was a registration filed in September. Doesn't mean it has to be used. And I don't know the answer. And I'm sure if there is an answer, Murray, Martin can't talk about it right now. Diamonds take time to make. I can't wait that long. I'll be a diamond myself.
It won't be that long.
By the way, Scared Saber Delta, the other thing I know about Martin, which I can tell you, I only know one other CEO, well, actually maybe two, who just hop a plane and go to any conference and meet any investor. That's a huge thing you have with Finger Motion. Martin hits the hustings and works his butt off telling the stories. So that's really important, by the way. I have a question on that.
If I can add to that really quick, part of it is because I want people to understand, obviously, the complexities of the businesses themselves. Not everyone understands the full landscape of what we are and what we do. And I think that that's important. But again, talking to people face to face, I think, is important. You know, they get a sense of what we're all about. That there really are no games, like you talk about in your little editorial comments. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I don't play in that sort of field. Really, it's about building a company. It doesn't mean, like I said, we're not aware of it and it's going on out there. We certainly are, but I think it's more beneficial to the shareholder that we focus our resources on the things that are important, which is really just kind of growing this company to whatever that full potential might be. So
When you meet with institutional investors, do you find a threshold below which they will not invest either in share price or market cap?
some of them do. Yeah. Some of them are very forthright in saying, yeah, your market cap's not here, or, waiting for profitability or whatever. Some of them could just be excuses that they make to
Right.
not deal with us. The biggest thing, though, I find is really just telling them about the company. And the reason maybe I go and visit people or go to these conferences is I just want to spread the word about Finger Motion. What are we all about? What is it that we do? And what makes it attractive for people to come, take a look at us, give us a shot. And that's really the goal. What institutionals reasons they are for maybe not helping or not coming in, that's theirs, and
Right.
like I said, it could be true, it may not be true, but I think once they get good understanding of what we are all about, I think they're more inclined to come and help us out.
There's some I hate it when there's negative anger, but I actually don't think they're going to pump the stock with Univest. They signed that deal. It's a real transaction, but
Yeah,
it takes
well,
time.
yeah.
But yeah,
We did. We signed the deal with Univest. They are our sales agent for the ATM. So they're there. Obviously, when you sign with different groups, you want them to, help you out as much as they can. Currently, they haven't obviously been able to provide any good support for us. Doesn't mean that they may or may not, but we're coming up to the end of their term, really. And if nothing happens, then we'll move to somebody else. I mean, it's like any company. Whenever you partner up with somebody, you're certainly hopeful that they're gonna be able to, work something out, or you symbiotically can find benefits in helping each other. But currently, they haven't been able to, and we'll see what happens. They seem to be, well, my guess is that they've been trying, but I haven't received anything that is certainly beneficial to us.
right.
Actually, very little, to be honest. And so, if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. So,
Right. But it doesn't mean they're not trying to get something done.
yeah,
That's a big deal if they can do it.
yeah.
The capybara, I doubt you have any update on that lawsuit that you guys.
No, yeah, Capybara. That again was a decision made because there were a number of different, I guess you call them derogatory or inaccurate, wildly inaccurate reports out there. And so we decided to take the position to stand up against one of them and say, hey, don't go spreading rumors like this. This is just ridiculous garbage. And so we said, okay, this is, we're going to take a stand. So yeah, we did get it removed from the Benzinga website. We went up to Benzinga and said, guys, you guys shouldn't be putting out stuff like this. It's not true, or, at least vet it a little with the company, or just look at our filings and you'll know that all of it was false. 100% of that report was false. So they did take it down. Whether or not it's
What's the
worthwhile to go after.
urgency? They could call you before they file it. There's nothing urgent about it putting that research report out.
Yeah, and sometimes even with the negative comments like you mentioned, I understand that. That's okay. People have different viewpoints on different things.
Yeah.
We stand by the things that we do, and you're right. They could have just called us and said, "Hey, can you verify 2 or 3 points on this report?"
We're journalists.
Wrong.
We got to get the other side.
Yeah. So, but we're happy with that. That got taken down from Benzinga. So.
This is a good question, although I don't know how to restate it so you can answer it. You may not be able to answer it, but are you finding quality sources of capital interest?
We've had a couple. just if I go back a couple
Yeah.
years, we have been very averse to toxic funding. Like we do not go anywhere near it. And so when
All of
people
Wall
think,
Street.
yeah, well, I don't know. Some people, they look at it and they say, oh, maybe this will work. We're not naive enough to think that any toxic funding proposal is ever going to work, that there's always going to be a detrimental back end to it. So that's why we have been provided, not necessarily through Univest, but through other avenues, a number of different opportunities. And most of them have proven to be terrible, for lack of a better term. They're just no good. We have had one or two that that's something that we're looking at and saying, okay, that might actually work out for us. But again, I guess I can't go too much into it. But yes, we have some sources that are, let's say, good for the company, not necessarily detrimental.
Okay. I'm going to skip that one. How do they plan on raising money? No, you don't have to answer that. Ask if they know about high operating in Mexico. That's interesting. Have you thought about Mexico?
We haven't thought about Mexico. We have obviously had certain thoughts about different countries in Southeast Asia. We've had discussions with Indonesia, Vietnam, only because the telco systems are somewhat similar to what we deal with in China. And so those present obviously the easiest method for if it's a top-up transition or the data algorithms to move and migrate over. Those would be the avenues that seem to be the quickest fit for us. We haven't discussed Mexico or really anything in North America or really anything in Europe. We've had one or two discussions internally about Europe, but yeah, nothing in North America yet, and certainly nothing in Mexico.
Yeah, it's probably your best efforts is to stay where your competency is and your contacts are.
Yeah.
Let's see what big.
That doesn't mean I don't have like dozens of people come. Oh, have you talked about this in South America or this in whatever? I go. I hear a lot of that, but nothing where we've actually substantively talked with anybody.
What's this? Is it feasible to continue the SMS side? Maybe as long as possible while everything else, since it went well. Oh, I guess what he's asking, is it feasible to generate the revenues there while you're building the rest of the company?
Well, this queue is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Last quarter, I would say or whatever 2 quarters ago, we started driving all the revenue through top up and cloud services. And then this queue, we drive everything through SMS. So it really is the team finding what works best, both in terms of driving revenue and driving or something that has attractive margins. Could we stick with that? I suppose anything is possible. I wouldn't like that though. I think from a company's point of view,
low margin.
What low margin for one, but it's almost like you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And if we're able to keep as nimble as possible and finding different places to put our resources, I think that serves us better as a company instead of relying or having economic dependence stuck on one particular division or one particular revenue stream. So I think it would serve us better to see if we can find something better. If, for example, top up gets killed and the only thing left is SMS, then yeah, of course we'll do that. And this queue is a classic example of that. But I think we would like to be in a position where we're a bit more balanced across the board and then have a number of different things firing while we still have obviously the data and the big project to come up in the background.
How does top up grow? Does it grow steadily and then suddenly it like that, or is it always the same? Is it flat? It's like as you build in yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would say it's a slow climb. Obviously, the movement into different provinces. We do have sales agents within every province as it continues to grow. So that's one way. Obviously, having the legacy providers fall off again gives you more business, and so that would just, to me, continues to grow always at a steady pace. If, for example, in this last Q, something happens and the government says something, and you need to kind of pause it for a bit, then that's the only time in which I think it actually pauses, and then it would just continue to kind of keep that kind of steady growth
And
going.
what's the margin on it?
The margin fluctuates, similar with the SMS.
Okay.
It depends on the timing. Demand is a big driver for what happens. If they open the floodgates and everyone, whatever, 10, 20, 30 different legacy companies are doing it, as well as licensed companies, then the margin is going to be a bit smaller. If they crack down and say, okay, well, you know what, you're the only one, then potentially the margins could be bigger. Similar with SMS. If the bundles are in high demand, then they're able to crack down the margins a little bit. If we have a lot of bundles out there that people can access and we're the only one selling it, then maybe the margins go up a bit. And again, that goes to our team and the ability to see what the marketplace looks like and where they're able to distribute the capital. So,
what's this? Well, yes, it did destroy the momentum, but you got to spend your company's energy somewhere. Thank you, Mr. Shen, for being so transparent. How many CEOs like you today in the world?
I like how there's different definitions for transparency. To me, transparency is one thing,
Right.
and I try to be as transparent as I can. Obviously, there's legal restrictions on things I can and cannot say. Certainly non-public information and all that, but I try to give everyone the lay of the land, where we're going, what has happened and what will happen. So hopefully it gives everyone cautious optimism. That's kind of how we drive this company. So
I'll let you read that one. I don't know what it means. It's just a point. It's not a question.
Oh, okay. In Mexico again, like I said, we haven't really discussed Mexico, and I don't know if I would.
China's a huge investor in Mexico. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's good information. And we'll, certainly maybe have our team take a quick look at that. So that's certainly something new.
You're getting a lot.
But just so everyone knows, China is a big investor everywhere. Okay. They're invested in everything.
Even
from
in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, they're big bondholders. They're investors in all these mines that mine all the precious metals out there. So they're everywhere. So
let's see what Martin's confidence level, the same or better, considering the delays. Well, you don't have the lockdown anymore. Will the SMS? I think we talked about the SMS enough. But
I think again, I got to be careful in terms of how leading I am. But the project that is upcoming does give me confidence. It really makes me feel, one, obviously the stability and the reliance that the government has on our company to provide us a new opportunity, that gives us confidence. Second, the actual project itself, the ability for a project to come along like this and potentially not only affect our revenue, but affect our profitability. That's something that gives me confidence as well. But again, I got to be careful in terms of how I phrase that to not give anyone here any misleading information.
And the way I hear that partly is it moves you further away from having to take or ask for money from these false fronts for the toxic clients, the toxic washing machine. You won't need their capital anymore, and that's a huge thing. Just figure out international top-ups from United States to China, or I guess Canada.
No. Yeah,
'Cause
not
you
right
can
now.
buy those minutes here, but those are minutes. I don't know what advantage you'd bring here in the competition.
I mean, I don't know if we don't. First of all, we don't do anything outside of China right now.
Good.
The goal, though, is obviously to move outside of just China, be it top up, be it our data side, because all these things, certainly the algorithm and the platforms that we have are migratable. They are able to be used in other jurisdictions. And so that's always a goal, only because I think it's valuable for us to not be China centric, to have the ability to be outside of that. So that's always something that we look at as well. But right now, just in response to that question, we do not have anything outside of China.
Are your users everybody in China, or is it Gen Z? They probably don't have those generations, but are they 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds?
I think
80-year-olds?
it's everybody. I don't think we have a specific
Everybody.
demographic that we're tied to,
So
age-wise.
And if I get this question, what if we go to war with China? It would seem like everyone's still going to be using their phones. And I hope we don't go to war with China.
Yeah.
It's so unnecessary.
The people in China will still be using their phones.
Yeah.
So,
Is that a question you can answer? What American company do you
would come? It's a great question. None.
That's from
There
Dan.
are very few companies that, and that's why I kind of referenced in the middle, like Procter and Gamble or Unilever, where there's so many different things that they touch on, and I have no issue with that. I don't have any problem with us being, touching different things. But for us, the fundamental underlying feature is always going to be that lifestyle aspect, that data aspect. The ability to not only acquire information, but use that information and push it back out in products that benefit to society in general. And we think that generates a lot of value for the company. Obviously, TopUp does that. The SMS does that to a certain degree. But the Daga app is literally touching every person when they're using it, understanding what they want to do, what they need to get done.
What is that? The Daga? I don't know.
Daga app. It literally is a
GA or something.
DAGE app,
GE.
and we might
What
need
is that?
a
What is that?
Western name for it. In essence, it's an app on your phone, and the idea is
Did you create it or buy it?
It's technically our creation.
Okay.
The idea is that it taps into right now it taps into things like car washes and car maintenance, the charging infrastructure that's in China right now. But we think it could go further by tapping into the top-up side, because that would be very easy and very straightforward. And then providing
prescription medicines, maybe.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. That's where we see it all going. But right now, it's really just right underneath the surface of just burgeoning into something that could be far more valuable. But again,
How many users?
having that,
So I cut you off.
we're probably now, and I know back then we had about 600-some thousand. We're probably close to 800, 900,000 users now. And don't quote me, because that it isn't exactly a number, because I don't have it in front of me. But it grows pretty quick,
And
because I think people see the value
satisfied with it, because I have a lot of apps on my phone I never use again. So people, once they sign up, use it.
Yeah. Hopefully, it'd be a bit like. Do you guys use Waze down there for traffic?
For the police license? I have it, but I don't own a car. But somebody showed it to me, and it's better than any, because it alerts you to where the speed traps are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. To me, that's the kind of app that you want. You just want something that people don't necessarily think about, but they'll use it every day.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do with the Daga app. So
okay, what's this question? Will the release of the iPhone 16? I don't know the connection, but maybe you can.
iPhone has an interesting position in China because
Yeah.
Android phones, and obviously China has its own set of phones like Xiaomi and all that sort of stuff. So they have their own Android-based operating system phones over there. iPhone, I think for the younger set, it's a very cool cachet type phone to have. But I don't think it dominates the market as much as it seems to dominate the market here in
That's
North
interesting.
America. Yeah.
What about Elon Musk's phone, Tesla's phone? Will it? Doesn't mean anything. That's a sideshow. When was the I think
Daga
you have
app?
it backwards. I think it's Daji.
Yeah.
No.
DAGE. Yeah. So that is slightly backwards.
When was it?
Boy,
made?
probably, I don't know if my timing is right. Probably about 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, something like that.
So its growth has been pretty remarkable
Yeah.
in just that time. Here's a thank you for you.
You're very
excited
welcome.
to be an investor.
You're very welcome.
A lot about that. I don't want to talk about that research case anymore. Finger is alive. Are you going to dilute the shareholders? No. But the thing is, companies need to raise money, and it used to be in the stock market you could use your shares as currency, but they never let the price go up. You never get any. You'd have a time like a shelf registration, and for a period of 2 or 3 months, the stock's above where the CEO ever thought it would be. He takes some money out of the market. They never let that happen anymore. They just suppress it. Yeah. The market is broken. Here's another thank you. Lots of thank yous. Guten Tag from Germany. So if anybody has a question, now's the time. Let's see if this is a positive one. He needs to get it to profitability. The shorts will be here as long as the company's not profitable. I agree with that, except I would amend it slightly. Once it becomes visible that the company is going to be profitable and never come back, that's almost as good as being profitable.
Yeah.
And I would also add that if you don't need to take capital from the criminals, you don't punch your ticket down at the manipulated prices. Anyway, maybe you want to comment on that.
No, I agree with that totally. And that's kind of our idea of staying focused on the company itself. So I agree with that.
So let's see any other questions. It's almost 1 o'clock. You gave us until 1, so let's just see if there's any questions, and then you can. The warrant issue. Go ahead. We answered it, but it's
that's just a couple of things I think the SEC probably needs. Like I said, now that we filed our financials, we have to update the figures on the application itself, but that hopefully should come shortly. So
when is the next earnings report? It was Friday.
Let me have a little break before I put the next earnings out.
It'll be in 45 days, approximately 45 to 60 days. I don't know if that's a useful question more than what you might have said in your last 2 minutes. But the idea is, why are we on the U.S. stock exchange if you do all your business in China?
Well, I mean, we are a U.S. company. We are, domiciled in Delaware. I look at it as, we are a U.S. company. It just so happens that our operations are in China. A lot of companies have operations elsewhere, and we just happen to be based in China. So,
but AppleCare, it's not that it won't happen. It's just the company they were working with, the back office processes they had made it very difficult. So
very difficult.
I guess everyone's stepping back and rethinking how they're going to approach it. But it's not.
And that again, That is the insurance company, the U.S. insurance company's
Right.
back end that's
Not
really
China.
creating most. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with China, nothing to do with us, really.
So maybe it's a new insurance company you got.
Possibly.
I guess could Trump or Biden affect it?
I don't know if it could affect it any worse than than the last time we went through all this. And by the way, kudos to that debate. Wow, you're giving all the late night shows all the fodder they need for.
Oh God,
Well, I'm
there's
not
so much
sure.
information.
I know. I don't. Yeah. So that's
You
that. Sorry.
go ahead. No.
I'm just saying that that's certainly something that we watch. There's nothing we can do about it, but it's certainly something that we watch and see how it affects things. But we've been through this before.
You probably understand it more than I do, but apparently when it's on TV, it's more than just what they're talking about. It's the medium is the message, and boy, what a message.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting with us. So it's 1 o'clock. So if there's anything you want to end with that I forgot to bring up, like you really want to let us know when this big deal is going to come down and how big it is and what it is. No, I'm kidding.
The second we can announce it, we certainly will, and we'll take advantage of that opportunity as much as we can. But again, I do want to say thank you to obviously your viewers, the people that have been with Finger Motion for such a long time. I try to be as open and as candid as I can about what has happened, where I think we're going, and like I say, I have cautious optimism that we will be successful, and I know that it's just at some point it's going to be tiring to hear me say this over and over, but I do thank everyone for their patience and coming along for this ride, because we'll just maybe rest assured that we are working hard in the background, trying to make everything work out.
That's right. I think that's right. And there's so many examples of companies that took a long time before they became overnight successes.
Well, I guess you can get comfort in the fact that we're not a pump and dump, because we're working our asses off to grow this company. So
that's
there
true.
you go. How's that? So
that's true. And
but other than that, no, thank you, Bill. Again, I appreciate the time, and thank you to everyone. Happy 4th of July for those Canadians.
1st
Happy
of July.
Yeah. So
thank you very much. You're always welcome here, but most of all, thank you for making yourself available for the people here, and then will listen to are very loyal investors, and they sometimes feel lost because of what is allowed to go on in the market. So I know they appreciate it very much that you could come talk to them.
And we appreciate them. So thank you very much.
All right. Peace. And happy, whatever you call it, 1st of July.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Bill.
Bye. Bye.
Take care. Thank you, everybody.
Ciao. All right. We can talk a little bit, but I might just hang up so that it's a short video that people can replay. I want to read some of these out. Game Over says, thanks, Martin. I read these already. Chris Sheedy says, thanks for chatting with us. I'm missing somebody there. Oh, there, Mark Maddox says, thanks, Martin, and happy Independence Day. Barbara says, thank you, Martin, and for keeping us informed. Westlake says, thanks a lot for taking the time, Mr. Shen, to talk to us. Lee Willis says, what a refreshing chat. Saber Data says, thank you, sir. Sideshow Bob says, thank you for this, Mr. Shen. Social Work Watch Only, thank you, Martin. Barbara says, thank you. Thank you. Debris. Hannah says, great call. Man10 says, thank you, Martin. I love that. I love that. That's how to do it. The 750 biweekly purchase. That's how to do it until how does the chant? England, England. No. England. How does the chant go for England? Oh, England. I can't remember it. I used to remember it. All right. There's an email on their website, and just put it attention to Martin. I'm sure he'll get it. It's on their website, Finger Motion website. You can Google it. All right. I probably forgot to ask a question. I'm sure I did. Anyway, it's too late now. Too late now. I thought that was a great call. One of the negative guys up there says that the shorts might drive it down over this, and I think you have to. I think you have to assume. We can go over the earnings again since many of you weren't here. He sent me a text. Should this end soon? Luckily, I figured that out because he told me 1 o'clock. So he sent that at 4 minutes to go. But anyway, just to go over the earnings, these aren't going to be particularly. This will, if the earnings have been positive, the shorts will sell too. So it's half of one and half of another. Anyway, I can read it quickly. They had quarterly revenue of 8 million. Which was down 30%. They had telecommunications revenue down of 12 million. Almost all, it says 98%. Big data, nil versus very little. And then they reported quarterly the text messaging business 8 million compared with nothing basically last quarter. So that was an increase of, they say here, 100%, 100,000%, because it was like $10,000. Cost of revenue was down 33%. Gross profit of 680,000. Quarterly loss of 1.66 million, which was an increase of 31%. 3 cents versus 2 cents. They have 26 million in assets. Liabilities 15 million. Probably mostly the top-up minutes, I'm guessing. I don't know. Current liabilities are all 15 million. The total liabilities are 15 million too. So it looks like to me the long-term debt is very small. Like $80,000 or something. I don't know. Very small for this company. And then to quote Martin in his press release, Our company again experienced a challenging market during Q1 of 2025, said CEO Martin Shen. Despite these challenges, however, during Q1 2025, our gross profit improved to 0.02 million or 3%, and our cost of revenue decreased 3.81 million or 33% compared to last year. Looking forward, we see several drivers for improving revenue this fiscal year, including arrangements which could result in significantly increased use of our Daga app, which already has 650,000 active subscribers. We also continue to invest in the future with our InsurTech partners, our Sapientus big data platform, which has made additional progress on several fronts, including market implementation, analytical advancement, and network engagement. We also expect both our cloud-based services and lifestyle app to contribute meaningful revenue this year. Actually, that's not what it says. Meaningful revenue later this year. So later this year. That's better. That's even better. Therefore, we expect the balance of fiscal 2025 to demonstrate increasing revenue and improved margins, which should get us closer to our goal of profitability. And he was very careful not to get everybody excited about the potential of other things. But if you listened, it sounds like there might be something in the wings. So let's just go through these, and then I'm going to sign off to keep this short. Oh, Barbara, thank you. I probably forgot a ham question. Matthew, I really wish, I don't know if this is a sincere question, but if it is, I think it's silly to make predictions in the short run. I can look at the chart and give you an analysis. I've been careful for the last months, making it clear that I don't think you should be buying the stock for an imminent squeeze or anything like that. I think the story in finger motion is, and by the way, Matthew, nothing in this surprises me. People ask me, did I think this quarter's earnings were going to be good? I had no basis, but I didn't expect them to come in gangbusters. Why? Because last year the economy was still shut down, and they're making those adjustments. I believe it's going to be our third quarter will be the soonest, but it might be our fourth quarter. It might that kind of time frame before they get profitable. I don't appreciate it though, Matthew, if you're trying to stir up FUD or fear, because if they're able to sell the stock down, and it closed at 255, if they're able to sell the stock down, that to me, that would be a chance to average in on the price. I think this is a company under massive manipulation by the clients, whoever they were. Jeff Easton said I forget the term he used. It made him sound like more important than he is, but he just shoveled this toxic note to 4 clients, and they want to get that stock price down. Maybe they want to go to the company and offer them money. Maybe they want the company to issue money at a low price. That's their whole goal. Nothing ever changes. In Gary Gensler's markets, The whole strategy of the big pools of money is to hire fronts like Jeff Easton, get him to lie and mislead. And of course, everything on this video is in my opinion and judgment, and issue shares or create that toxic note, get the prime broker to sign. Then there's no enforcement, and guys come on and they try to get it down so they can have a quick trade. As I read it in one text message, we're going to have some fun with retail. This isn't fair. You know, for all of those of you who think it's all some right-wing conspiracy, last Thursday night showed you that cover-ups happen, and they happen in real time. I don't think the stock's going to go to $2. I think it'll be under pressure. I don't know what low would be here. You know, anytime you buy a stock, it can go down. I would guess 225, maybe you can buy some. But what I heard today on this call was very strong. And I think holding the stock, buying the stock should be with a time frame of 6 to 9 months. And I think the stock's going to do really well. You were put on a timeout? I didn't know that. Sorry about that. I'm glad you're back. I might go in. I forget how I did it before. I might go in. There's like 400 people there, release them all, and then just start over again. It's just, David, it's so draining. It's not you, but it is just so draining. We have fought, we've tried to make money against, and we've tried to educate. All of us have tried to educate each other. The SEC proves by going after the CEO in this other case, not against the criminals, that the SEC works to prolong this system where a big fund at arm's length can go hire Jeff Easton to bring in CEOs, sign toxic convertible notes or other toxic formats, and then the fund, through their arms and legs, can start selling endless amount of shares. And then they break all the rules of borrowing, locating, delivery. Your brokerage firm doesn't ask to receive, and all those rules are broken. There are no systems in place. The apologists say there's systems in place. There are none. And then the prime brokers, market makers, and broker dealers, they just want the business. And then there's these cowardly, cruel people that come in, pump it up in some stocks, and then crash it down because they're trying to make day money. And the whole mechanism they use is reg show, the market maker exemption. That has to be removed. The other thing they count on is that Gary Gensler is bribed, he's paid for, he's corrupt, and in my opinion, he's a criminal. He's owned by Goldman Sachs. Adina Friedman, I don't know how much more you need to bribe her. 2.5 million a month just for being a woman gliding in. The large guy at FINRA, Robert Cook, does nothing, absolutely nothing. He fires the women that he puts out on the front line to fight for him, Jessica Hopper, at least. But he keeps his job. He has no courage. A shadow would scare him, but he doesn't. He has humanity. And if you challenge it, you got to go through arbitration. This whole Bill Clinton idea that the Wall Street can regulate itself, it's given us this corruption, and it's massive. So I get worn out anyway, David. I don't want to talk about that anymore because it's just draining. It's negative. And I don't think we can win. I don't think lawsuits can win. I don't think calling your congressman can win. I just don't think we can win. So we have to try to make money within that system. And getting upset, for me to get upset about it every day, leads nowhere. The SEC shook down Meta Materials for $1 million. A very good. Imagine if Thomas Edison had to deal with Gary Gensler and offshore short selling and Ken Griffin. Imagine. You wouldn't have a record player. You wouldn't have electricity. All right, let's just go through here. Hey, Kat, thank you. Gretchen, I wish I had seen that question. I would have asked him. I'll try to get an answer for you. I would think patents are very important. Unfinished Business says, thanks, Martin. Appreciate your taking the time to discuss finger motion. David says, I don't know. I didn't do it, David. So I apologize. I'll try to figure out what happened. I didn't do it. And I'm sorry to you. Give Lucky a pat. I know, poor guy. It's very hot in here. Thank you, Hubert H. Humphrey. Yes, in a squeeze, I'm sure they said that. But if I'm telling you right now, if you're invested in this right now, for it to go to 1,000, I do not see, this is my opinion, I do not see any squeezes working unless somehow Wall Street decides to eat one of its own. I think they have them all under control. So Hubert H. Humphrey, if you're waiting for $1,000, I'm sure there's another stock out there to play. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I think that's the wrong reason to be in it. But I'm not saying it won't happen in a squeeze. But what's wrong with buying a stock at 250 that has, I think, the whole market is risk, everything's risk. You're trying to get better returns than a CD. Markets have risk. So to make a projection is not to make a promise. But I think you can double or triple your money in finger motion over the next 6 to 9 months. And with luck, maybe there is some sort of item that you're talking about. But I'm not, that's not me, babe. I made a lot of videos on it in a squeeze. But back when I got involved some years ago, these things were happening. It just feels like they have it all under control now. And you have to adjust your projections for the reality of the market. But thanks for stopping by, Hubert. I'm not in finger. He expected 3rd to 4th. Quarter. Yeah. Hey, big JR. Oh, gosh, it's hot here, too. Humid. Hot and humid. Well, I would suggest you can put in orders if you want. If you believe the stock is going to go down, put in orders to buy at $2 or pick a different number. You don't have to buy it at 2. I'm not saying where you should buy it. If you already have a position, look at the chart. I would say 225, but maybe it's $2. Maybe there's a spike. But yeah, that's what buying and investing is all about. You don't have to buy it what you think is the wrong price. No, you didn't do anything wrong by me. Maybe I was I was getting heated and somebody was trying to help me. I don't know. Good morning, John Platinum. That's what it is. It all works out until it doesn't. Look at the debate Thursday night, whatever your leanings are. I think for the first time, if my sister was watching it, she saw that Joe Biden is an elderly man. And to me, it's cruelty to him. To me, he was very similar to some of the conversations I had with my father. My dad kept his brains and his memory and his intelligence and his dislike for Trump right till the end. But he could also start talking things like when Biden was talking about, let's go play golf. My dad would be sitting in his chair and he hadn't been able to walk for 2 or 3 years. He'd say, Bill, what can I get you? You want me to get you a beer? Here, let me. And he can't even get up out of the. So I think Biden belongs in a home, and it's cruel to him. It's really cruel to him. I also don't think Biden really knows what's going on in the country. I think you've got some really focused neocons leaning to the agenda of, well, let's just put it, Victoria Nuland and her ilk. And then you've got wokeism. I mean, nothing says it better than in the New York Post today, the commissioner of the firemen in New York City is a young woman, and she has no credibility with men. And my guess is she never was a fireman. And she's bringing a woke agenda. This is what's happening at the federal government. All this, I don't know. It's a big experiment. Whatever side of it you're on, it's a huge experiment. And part of it is not letting us see what's really happening. But it's clear Biden's not running the country. It's clear he's not. So I think people saw that for the first time. At some point, people are going to see that our stock market is all fraud. Thank you, Barbara. Lee, I think Jill Biden, Harry Truman didn't run again because he wanted to be with Bess. I don't know what happened with Johnson and Lady Bird, but Johnson said, I'm not going to run again. Melania doesn't seem to have any urge to be in the White House. But Jill, my gosh, I think her own desire to be in the White House, be on that jet, be on the, I mean, she doesn't have much to say. And certainly whatever she does have to say, it's not worth listening to. But she gets on all the TV channels everywhere. She doesn't want to give that up. And I don't know. I really feel sorry for Biden. But having said that, I think it's wrong for the government, the media, and the Democratic Party and Joe Biden to hide it all from us. I said it, you know, I was at my old house sitting outside with friends of mine who all voted for Biden. And they asked me, who are you going to vote for? I said, I'm going to vote for Trump. Why? I said, because he's senile. He can't do the job. Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. Saskatchewan, Joe Biden and the rest should be charged. I think it's elder abuse. It really is. It really is. Let him go out as a grandfather. All right, let's sign off. I don't want this. Yeah, it could be Wickedums. It could be Obama. It could be Samantha Powers. It could be, I don't know. There's a group of apparatchiks who work out of the old executive office building. They all went to the same school professor. I think it was Yale. They all think alike. They might be running it. I have to look that up. I forget where I read it. Fantastic job. Thank you, Tom. Disappointed. Well, I don't know if it was news, but it's clear they're not hopping too, but I don't think it's over. President Biden brought Joe out to front her re-election. No, he just said that Univest is still there, but they haven't really brought anything that's attractive. What I take out of that is that Martin is really careful to read what he's signing, and he's not going to sign a toxic or dilutive arrangement in any way. So I kind of heard that it sounds like he might have one or two sources of capital. Anyway, let's not speculate. We'll see what happens. I'm going to leave it here because I've already elongated this live. I want it to be something that people can listen to about Martin Shen. So I wish everyone a cool Sunday wherever you are. Peace, love, and happiness. Happy 1st of July and happy 4th of July. Cheers.